Once upon a time, the sorcerer had an apprentice named Max. Max had spent hours cleaning the sorcerer's workshop, and he still hadn't finished. "I'm fed up," he moaned to Beulah, the sorcerer's toad. "All I do is mop, scrub, and polish. How will I ever learn any magic?" "Max!" called a voice. Max leaped from his chair as the sorcerer came into the workshop. "I wondered if..." The sorcerer lifted his foot in disgust. "Look at this toadstool. What have you been doing all morning?" "Cleaning," Max said sulkily. "Look, the water tank is empty." "You'd better fill it up then," said the sorcerer. "And sweep and scrub this floor again too. You did a terrible job the first time." Max sighed. "I have to go into town," the sorcerer went on, producing a shopping list. Must remember dragon scales. Now, don't try any spells while I'm out," he warned, "or I'll turn you into a newt." With a glare at Max, he raised his arms. One, poof! And the sorcerer vanished. "Hooray!" Max grinned. "A few hours off. I think I'll go for a swim in the moat." "What about filling the water tank and scrubbing the floor?" Beulah reminded him. "The sorcerer won't be back for ages," said Max. "I'll do it later." "He won't be happy," said Beulah. All right, snapped Max, grabbing a broom and starting to sweep the floor. He groaned. Filling the water would take ages, and lugging the pail up and down the steps from the pump to the tank was such hard work. If only there were something he could do to speed things up. And then he had a brilliant idea. A few days ago, the sorcerer had cast a spell on a broomstick and brought it to life. "I just need to remember the spell," thought Max. "And then the broomstick can fill the tank for me." Max closed his eyes, took a breath, and recited the magic words. "Root and branch of old oak tree, bring this broom to life for me." The broom woke up and sprouted arms and legs. "Fill up the water tank for me," sputtered Max. And wouldn't you know it, the broom did. Max was delighted. His first ever spell had worked. "Boy, am I worn out," he yawned. "I think I deserve a little nap." And he stretched out on a chair and went to sleep. The next thing he knew, a frantic toad was jumping up and down on his lap. Wake up! Beulah croaked. "The tank is overflowing and the broom won't stop." "Huh?" mumbled Max sleepily. "Look!" said Beulah. "Oh no!" cried Max. The water had reached the top of the tank and was pouring over the side. "That's enough," Max told the broom. "You can stop now. Stop!" But the broom took no notice. Back and forth it trotted, filling pails to the brim and pouring them into the water tank. Water sloshed in and out again, flooding onto the floor. "Please stop," implored Max, but the broom kept going. "Quick, say a spell and make it stop before it floods the whole workshop," Beulah pleaded. "I don't know another spell," said Max, looking embarrassed. "Of all the nincompoops," muttered Beulah. By now, the water was up to his ankles, and still the broom was bringing more. "The sorcerer is going to be furious," said Beulah. "There must be something you can do." "I can't think of anything," wailed Max. "Could you at least chop it up?" suggested Beulah. "Good idea," said Max. With a loud crack, the broomstick split clean in two. "Phew," sighed Max with relief. And then he realized that each half of the broom was growing a new arm and leg. "Two of them!" screamed Max. "What are we going to do now?" "Don't get any more water," he shouted at the brooms. "I don't need it. Ya hear me? No more water." The brooms ignored him. Grabbing empty pails, they clattered up the steps to the pump, filled the pails, and then rushed back down to the tank. Max thought gloomily, "I'm going to be in such trouble when the sorcerer comes back." "Please, please stop!" He tried one last time, but the brooms kept going and they seemed to be speeding up. Max splashed through the water and tried to grab them, but they darted out of his reach. By now, the water was over his knees and rising fast, past the top of his legs, creeping up to his waist, and desperately, he caught hold of a table as it floated past. The entire workshop was afloat and the brooms kept filling the tank. With a splash and a splosh, waves washed across the workshop like a beach. "Help!" shouted Max. "Somebody please help!"
"He warned you not to try any spells," Beulah said. "Maybe next time you'll listen."
"You're not helping," said Max.
Can anyone hear me? Please help us," he yelled.
There was a loud and the sorcerer appeared, looking down in horror as water lapped at his robe. "What's going on?"
"I leave you here for just a couple of hours, and I return to find my workshop is a swimming pool. What on earth have you been doing? What's going on?"
Just at that moment, the two brooms ran down the stairs and flung yet more water into the workshop.
"What? How? Why?"
said the sorcerer, more than a little bewildered. Then he lost it.
"I thought I said no spells,"
he spluttered. Quickly he spread his arms wide, held his wand high, and called out, "Eye of bat and tooth of boar, return to how you were before." In a swirl of smoke, one of the brooms vanished. The sorcerer waved a hand, and the other broom swished across the floor. It came to rest against the table and leaned there, perfectly still. With a the water started to drain away, leaving battered books and an upturned cauldron behind. Max peered over the edge of the water tank. "I warned you, no spells!" snapped the sorcerer, raising his wand. "I'm really sorry," Max grabbled. "Please don't turn me into a newt. I promise I won't meddle with magic again." "Not good enough," said the sorcerer.
"That was quite a tricky spell he did," Beulah pointed out. "Perhaps you should start teaching him magic. He is your apprentice after all."
The sorcerer thought for a moment. Maybe," he grunted.
"But first, he can clean up in here without magic. And if you ever disobey me again," he added to Max,
"you'll be frog spawn in the moat." From that day on, Max was the ideal apprentice. He studied hard and soon he had learned how to start spells and how to stop them. When he grew up, he became a great sorcerer whose spells always worked perfectly, though he was careful never to enchant another broomstick.